All right. Hello, Ugly Mug marketing friends and followers. This morning we are coming to you live from some of us from a lot of different places. So Wayne and I and Gina are actually in different locations in our office, and everyone else is at home this morning. Our office has been dramatically impacted by COVID-19, and we just kind of wanted to get everyone together. We've been doing these calls a couple times a week as a team, but really just wanted to get all together and come live to you in your home, in your office, wherever you might be working from today, or wherever you are hanging out with your family or your kiddos. Dan has a special guest, if you can see him on the screen. Dan has his daughter Izzy with him. People have pets. So we are just coming to you live with lots of realness this morning. And we're just going to kind of dive into some different questions that we have. I'm looking on our account right now to see who's tuning in. I see we've got 3 people on. So we're just going to go ahead and dive in. I'm going to be the facilitator today. So first question that I have is for Hannah Broom. How has COVID affected the way that you have been working?
So initially when we started working from home, I was actually really scared because I was scared I was going to get cabin fever, even though I'm an introvert. But it was I actually really enjoyed it. I didn't have, there wasn't tons of distractions actually like I thought there was going to be. It was kind of nice working from home. I definitely missed like the camaraderie. If I had a question, just, being in the office, bouncing ideas off of each other. But other than that, it has pretty much been pretty similar. I mean, we are already prepared to work from our laptops, and so it worked pretty seamlessly.
Yeah. So Hannah is definitely more of an introvert. And so she and Mara are similar in that way. And so I kind of want to jump to a different extreme though, which is Jessica, who is not so much an introvert on our team. If you have called our office before, you've probably talked to Jessica on the phone. So you know that she has a bubbly personality, and she's going to ask you about how your day is going, how your family is, what you've been up to over the weekend, how life has been in general. So Jessica, how has COVID-19 affected the way that you have been working?
So it was definitely a huge change for me because I am the extrovert. I want to talk to everybody. I want to know how everyone's doing, including our clients, not just us. Like Dan, I have 2 little ones at home, or Dan has 1, I have 2, but so that was really challenging because I really had to figure out, okay, how am I going to get my work done with mommy, come watch this, mommy, come play trains, mommy, come watch me stand on my head. I don't know. So fortunately, I was able to have family help. So I was still able to go into the office. So me going into the office didn't really change, but it changed in the fact that there was no one there except for Wayne. But as you can probably imagine, Wayne and I definitely stayed 6 feet apart. So it was a challenge to like look up and not see anybody in the office. So that was really hard for me because I definitely just missed our laughs, our good times, and just all the feel good. And then when I was talking to somebody on the phone, it was always, I couldn't just like get up and hand that person the phone. It was, okay, well, let me take your name and your number and I'll make sure the other person has it. So it was definitely different, but I've enjoyed the time I've gotten to spend with my kids because that's definitely been a little bit of an added bonus, but I'm very glad that we're all getting back together.
Yeah, for sure. And then last person I want to ask this question is Gina. So Gina is new to our team. And so she just started like full-time, onboarded and everything, learning all the ropes. And then COVID-19 happens and we're all working from home. So Gina, how was that for you? Like starting full-time, taking on your own clients and getting a little bit more involved with some other clients behind the scenes, and being able to have access to Hannah, who you directly report to, and then now going to working at home.
Yeah, well, I mean, Hannah's been great for sure. The whole time we had a seamless accountability plan. And I know that was probably the best thing that we all could have done throughout all of this. So I was able to have contact with Hannah, multiple times a day, anytime I needed her. And then we were able to come up with okay, here are your main goals for the day, and kind of have that accountability of like, okay, what did you get done this morning? What did you get done this afternoon? And that was hugely helpful for me, because of course at home, there are distractions. I have a dog, he barks a lot. So, there are all kinds of things that would come up. But it really was, I'm an introvert, so being at home, had its perks, but at the same time, I love the office. Like, you guys are awesome. And it's just such a positive, encouraging atmosphere. So when you're at home sitting at your kitchen table by yourself, that's not always the most motivating and encouraging to get work done. But overall, I think just the way that you all have worked together and rallied together, I think it's been just a positive experience. We've been able to get through it, but I'm excited to be back in the office.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. And I want to touch on, Gina was just talking about like our accountabilities and check-ins. This is something that Hannah Broom and I actually did a live on pretty early on when we were all working from home. But that process of checking in and holding each other accountable, it's very easy. Like we've all said from these responses so far, it's very easy to get distracted at home by your kids or your dog or your significant other, which was a major distraction for me. And so I wanted to touch base on that. What we did basically was set up some questions that we were all responsible for answering every single morning. For Lydia and I, we checked in. We were each other's accountability partner. And so we would check in every single morning via Zoom. And I'm going to let Lydia talk a little bit more about that check-in, how she felt about doing that check-in every day. So Lydia, passing it off to you.
Yeah, I actually think, Hannah knows, it was either the very first day, I know it was a Friday that most of us were at home. I don't know if it was that day or if it was the following Monday, but it was very, very soon after we were all starting to work from home separately that Hannah implemented this accountability system. And I did kind of expect something of the sort to be necessary for us just because we were so used to, I have a question and I can just literally stand up, walk 10 feet and ask Hannah almost immediately. So I knew that it was going to be important for us to maintain some contact that way. And I actually was really happy with the way that it all worked out just because I am pretty introverted. I think Mara probably beats me a little bit, but it was really nice to be able to start my day seeing someone besides my husband. I love my husband. He's sitting across the table from me right now. But when you see someone for literally 24 hours, basically 7 days a week, it's really nice to have interaction with someone that you're used to having interaction with. But when that shuts off, literally overnight, it's pretty startling for your routine. So it was really nice to be able to speak to Hannah every morning. We just, obviously we were trying to talk about our tasks for the day, but it did kind of end up being just a little hangout session sometimes. But that was really nice. I think that really helped with creating that sense of normalcy. And so I felt like that was a really good way to start our day, be able to kind of get out those stories we wanted to tell each other or things like that, but then be able to really nail down those tasks that we needed to do, ask each other questions, if we could help each other, if we needed help, all of those things. So I really enjoyed that system.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. Whether we were checking in and actually talking about, hey, these are my top priorities for the day, or, oh my gosh, did you watch Tiger King on Netflix? Which was a huge hit during all of this quarantine. If you haven't watched that yet, I'm not going to entirely recommend it, but it was entertaining. Next question is for Mara. We've been talking about how introverted Mara is, so now I feel like we really have to ask her a question and get her to talk. As you can see, Mara is working outside, which has been her background literally this entire time, unless it's been like thunderstorming. So I commend her for that, being outside. And if you know Mara, you know that she loves being outside, loves hiking and enjoying nature. But my question for Mara is, how have you been communicating and staying connected with people, whether that's your clients or your family and friends, during COVID?
Yeah, so for my family and friends, not much has changed because I live very far away from them. So FaceTime calls, regular calls, that's all pretty much stayed the same. But as for clients, I preferred one-on-one meetings with them. And when we couldn't do that anymore, I went to the next best thing, and that was Zoom calls. So I've been doing a whole lot more Zoom video chats with people, just regular phone calls, trying to go above emails. So that's been the biggest change in communication.
Yeah, for sure. And Dan is our manager, director of business development. And so Dan's role is really to sit down with people in our community who are interested in our services, sitting down in person with them, usually having them come to the office to chat with them, going to their office. So Dan, how has all of this impacted the way that you run like our sales department essentially?
There we go.
Dan, you're on mute.
Got it. Without a doubt, it's changed it. There's definitely nothing like the one-on-one conversation you have, particularly when it's the first time that somebody's coming in and they're meeting you. There's no replacement for face-to-face contact. So being able to use like Zoom calls and that sort of thing has been very, very helpful. One observation from this that I've noticed is that a lot of people are all in the same boat. So what might have been a little bit of an oddity, like in other words, having my 9-month-old next to me during the meeting, is not so much. It's very much accepted and understood. So in that sense, it's been interesting how it changed the landscape of that interaction. But at the core of it, it hasn't changed. You're still talking to people and their businesses and learning about what we can do to help them, what their challenges are, what kind of plan we could put forth. So in that sense, that hasn't changed, just the vehicle that we've done or we're used to communicate.
Yeah. And Wayne, I want to ask you the same question because I know once all of this happened, you really pushed us and led us to, and encouraged us to be in contact with our clients as much as possible. For me, I'm like Mara, I much prefer a one-on-one meeting with somebody. I'm used to going and sitting down with Bridget and Robin at Little Cakes for an hour and a half and just having really good conversation, nailing down what we need to do for the following month. But I feel like these conversations that we've been having have been far more personal during this time. So talk to us a little bit about what led you to that decision, to be pushing us and leading us to make those phone calls during this time.
Sure. So, actually, as all this was unfolding, I was actually in an airplane on my way to California. And there's just this eerie sense as I went through the airport in, I think, Dallas, and then on to California. And landing in California, the streets there, they had just shut down the day that I arrived. California went into lockdown. And so it was just a surreal experience. And I started getting phone calls from some friends, some clients who own businesses. And there was just this sense of uncertainty and fear. And it was coming up, not even so much directly, but indirectly, kind of in the back of their voice. You could hear it. And there were two words that came to mind as I was, thinking through all this. And the one word was to be prudent. So, the advice was to be prudent. We shouldn't make rash or foolish or snap decisions quickly. And then the other one was to be exuberantly proactive. So we like to all think that we're very proactive as it relates to, relationships with our clients and to, just being involved and engaged in our community. But I just knew that the fear existed, and that the fear was going to continue to grow as there was this more and more uncertainty as to what the future holds for entrepreneurs and business owners. So, my encouragement really was just simply, let's keep doing what we've been doing, but let's kind of amplify that a bit. So let's be more intentional with those phone calls. And specifically, I think the direction before was to, or when all this occurred, was to I don't even care if you talk about business at all with a client or someone in our community, just call and check on them. Just call and say, hey, I'm just thinking about you. I just want to, make sure you're okay. So, just really people want to know that, and it's actually one of Hannah Broom's clients who actually used these exact words. It's comforting to me to know that you are in my corner. And so that is really what it's all about. The number of conversations that we've all had and the personal connections that we've made with people, as much of an introvert as I am, and as much as I dislike, having those conversations with people, it was very, very meaningful. And so for us as a team, I just think that, whether or not there was any benefit in us doing that from the perspective of, is it going to help grow our business or not? It was the absolute right thing to do as, as citizens of our community, as caretakers, people who've entrusted us to help guide and grow their businesses. So that was really the two words were prudence and being exuberantly proactive in that process.
Yeah, I know that many of us can attest to this, but certainly me, like really pushing myself to make those phone calls. I learned more about my clients and them personally than I probably ever would have in a 2-hour long meeting. We've talked about this a lot, but it's a hard time for a lot of people and for a lot of small business owners, which is primarily who we work with. We work with a lot of people who have a brick and mortar store, or maybe they just have an online presence. And they're trying to grow their business. Maybe they just started their business, or they've been in business for 10 years, and everything in between. Those are our clients. Mara, what are some things that you were able to do early on for website clients? So for those of you who are tuning in and don't know, Mara is our website manager. So she specializes in all things website related. So Mara, what were you able to do very early on for those clients?
Yeah, one of the first things that we did was for those clients who needed or who wanted, we would put hello bars at the top. So if you're looking at a website, it's the little thin bar at the very top of the screen. So we were able to put like COVID-19 updates and then link that to an internal page that had all of the information that anyone would need on that specific website. So we did it for Little Cakes, we did it for Wildwood, especially those whose information was going to be changing quickly. They were able to go in through our admin panels and make the adjustments on those pages whenever they needed to. But it was one central thing that could be visible by anyone who went to their website.
Yeah. And as those changes are continuing to be made, in the state of Louisiana right now, patios are allowed to be open now. And so that's a strange thing that some of our clients who are in the restaurant and food industry are trying to navigate. So it is super important for us to, and I think our clients appreciate us being on top of things and providing them, that hello bar at the top, being, going above and beyond to update those things for them. I know that that's something that is really appreciated. So kind of on another aspect of our business, social media in particular, Facebook. Lydia, what are some changes that you've had to make specifically for your clients as things change? And they're still changing. I don't want anyone to think who's watching this that we're talking about it in the past as if COVID-19 is over, because we are definitely still in the thick of things, but we are throughout all of this, our team has really tried to remain positive and make sure that we are, and that our clients know that we are in their corner. So Lydia, what are some of those changes that you've had to make for your clients?
Yeah, so it was definitely a little stressful maybe at the beginning when all of this was happening, just because obviously all of my clients in some way were being affected by it in completely different ways. I have clients in the healthcare industry, so they're being affected dramatically in a different way than like an insurance agent is being affected. So at first it was just kind of, we're navigating what those changes looked like. But I think from the beginning, it was really important. And I think a lot of our team has felt this, but we had a huge responsibility here at Ugly Mug because we represent so many people, and they were they had that sense of fear and uncertainty, and we are helping them reach their audiences and all of those things. So I felt like it was really important, one, for them to stay in the midst of social media and stay in front of their people, because I mean, we've said it a million times, people are on social media so much more right now. We talked about prices dropping and all of that, but making sure people still were seeing things from those people. So just keeping up with the brand awareness, but also making sure that they were aware of any changes within the business was really important. So I know I did an interview a couple weeks ago with Blake Knoll, who owns First Insurance. So ideally, I mean, they didn't really have any changes within their business, except that they were just not allowing people to come into their office. So all of their operations were as normal. Their workers were in the office. They just were not allowing their clients to come in. So they had to handle things over the phone or things like that. So making sure that their Facebook reflects that information was really important, to ensure people knew that you can still call us, ask us anything you need. We can do pretty much anything we would normally do, just not face to face. So that was really important. Also, Freeman Clinic, a local clinic in town, their strategy honestly didn't really change a whole lot, because people knew who they were. They knew that they needed them. The major change for them was promoting their telemedicine. So making sure people knew, if you can, don't come into our clinic, have that meeting with your doctor virtually, FaceTime, Skype, however, making sure people knew all of the steps they needed to take to be able to do that. So I feel like that was the biggest thing, just making sure that their audiences were still, aware that they're still there. All of these people are still trudging along, but they just had to make some adjustments and making people aware of those changes.
Yeah, definitely. I think communicating safety on their behalf to their customers was definitely a huge thing right off the bat. Especially one of our clients is Southern Air Heating and Cooling. They are based here in Louisiana, but have locations all across the Southern United States, really. And so one thing for them is like, okay, they were deemed an essential business across all of the different states that they have businesses in. And so how do we communicate that, okay, if you need a new air conditioning system, it's about to get really hot in the South, and already is really hot. If you need a new AC unit, if you need a tune-up on your unit, it's safe for our guys to come into your home. But, please make sure, if you've scheduled an appointment with us and someone in your home is sick, please let us know ahead of time. We don't want to put our technicians' lives at risk, and then in turn their families and their communities that they're a part of. And then also, protecting their technicians as they're going in, making sure that they had all the PPE that they needed, making sure that they were staying 6 feet apart from the customer when they were doing the tune-up, and all of that. So I think that was something that was just super important. Hannah, I want to ask you the same questions about changes, because I know for you, you do Facebook for some of your clients, but you also have TV, radio, email marketing. And so all of those things were heavily impacted during this time. And so alerting people and their customers through those outlets, what did that look like for you?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing, and I'm sure just like pretty much anybody around the world, you got tons of emails whenever all of COVID initially hit saying, this is what's going on with this business and this is what's going on with this business. But at the end of the day, like, email is the easiest way to reach all of your loyal customers as soon as possible. And, basically it's free. So it just really emphasized the importance of having an email list for your clients. So our clients that had email lists, it was super easy. Hey, this is what's going on, to let them know those changes immediately. And so that was super duper important. Something else that we did is some of our clients that run radio ads, we changed the verbiage saying, hey, we're still here, we're still open, this is how you get in touch with us, like those kinds of things. So it's definitely changing the messaging. And yeah, again, I just can't stress the importance enough of not putting all of your eggs in one basket. That's something that we especially saw here. Don't put all of your eggs in, if you're a restaurant, don't put all your eggs in your indoor dining. You need to also be able to do to go and maybe outdoor dining and all those different things. So just that applies all over the place. Don't put all your eggs in one basket and really diversify yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Dan, I have a question for you. What is your, and for Izzy, what do you hope people take away from all of this season? I know we're still in it right now, but as states, communities are starting to slowly open back up. I know we're slowly starting to come back into the office and get used to the new normal, whatever that means right now. I'm sure there will be a new normal in a couple of weeks too. But what do you hope everyone takes away from this? Oh, mute.
Working. There we go. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. The biggest thing that comes to mind when you ask that question is that we're all in this together. There's a lot of divisiveness, but in the sense that this is something that has been changing. And one thing that's for sure, and Izzy, I know, has got an opinion here. We'll turn around so she can talk too. Is that some of the things we know for certain are that we're not going to go back to things the way they were before. This is going to change a little bit. But the biggest takeaway that I'd like to have people understand is that we're going to be fine. We're going to be okay. It's just going to be a little bit different, and take advantage of this time to learn to reconnect with people that you maybe haven't connected with, and take a look at the landscape in business and how that's changed and how are you going to adapt. So the biggest thing I would like to that I would hope that people would take away from this process, and so would Izzy, is that we're going to be fine. We're going to be okay when we get through this. And the biggest part of doing this is doing this together and having a little bit of patience. I certainly have learned a lot of patience over the last couple of weeks. So that's the biggest takeaway I would have.
Jessica, what about you? Biggest takeaways that you hope someone walks away with, or maybe that you've walked away with so far during this season?
So a while back, I'm going to totally steal Hannah Broom's line. I listened to a podcast and in it, this lady talked about how her and her family, when they started school, they cut everything out of all of their extracurriculars. The kids got to choose one extracurricular, whether it was a sport or a club or a music instrument. They have 5 kids, but, and she only volunteered at church, kind of stepped away from all of her other obligations, and her husband did the same thing. They kind of just stopped. And when I was listening to that podcast, this was probably January. So I was having a heart attack. I was like, I can't give up this. I can't give up this. There's no way my kids could give up this. I'm way too important in this. And so this obviously forced a huge stop. My kids can't go to extracurriculars right now. The things that I'm involved in, I mean, yes, we're still kind of having meetings, but I'm not having to go. I'm not having to leave. And so I've really gotten kind of what happened to the podcast that I listened to, kind of just happened naturally because of this. And so it really kind of pushed for what really truly is important. And, where is my time most valuable, and where do I want my time to be most valuable? And so, I've probably watched more church services than I've actually, obviously right now we can't attend, but I've watched a lot more because they're being offered on Facebook Live. So I've actually gotten to see that a whole lot more, which is something that obviously I wouldn't be going to church every single day, but now I'm able to. So that's been, my family's walking in the door. So in case y'all catch them. So it's gotten to show again, where is my time most valuable? And, right now with my kids, both my kids have been in daycare since they were 6 weeks old. So there were definitely things that I missed as they grew up, but now I'm just getting to see a lot of their personalities and just a lot of different things. And so what I really hope people take away from this is, time is, you're never going to get time back. You will never get this day back. You will never get this moment back. So where is your time going to be most valuable for you? And if you're not enjoying something, cut it out. Like, bye. If you are not happy doing something, stop it, and figure something else out. And I don't know if that's really a great answer or what, but that is something that I've taken away from this, is I've really seen what's made me the happiest in my life. And, there are things that I'm ready to get back into doing and cannot wait. And there's other things I'm like, I don't need to do that anymore. I don't need to spend my valuable time there.
Yeah, for sure. We have been doing a lot of different videos and learning a lot from those videos as we're interviewing entrepreneurs, people in our community, people across the country, wherever they may be. I know I started out strong with interviewing a lot of people from Michigan, which is where I'm from, which was really fun to just reconnect with them and check in, see how they are doing, and learn from them. And so Gina, I know you, again, being new to the team, like, hey, now you're going to have to do live interviews and premiere them on Facebook. And maybe that was something that you had never done before and was a little nerve-wracking. What have been some of the biggest things that you've learned from doing those Zoom videos? I know, now you know how to premiere and record a video on Zoom, but specifically like from those people, because I know for you, like you reached out, I felt like you were very bold in this, because you, like, someone would be like, oh, I know this person, like you can interview them if you want. And you were like, okay, like totally willing to just jump into it and do what you needed to do to get your interviews completed for the week. So, again, what were those biggest takeaways for you from those interviews?
Yeah, well, Facebook Lives and interviews can be really nerve-wracking. So I feel like it was a growing experience for me for sure. But it was good. And I think it was just encouraging to see how so many business owners were willing to they weren't just about promoting themselves. Like that was not their goal. And I don't think any of the interviews I did, no one's agenda was, how can I just like push my business and advertise in this moment? It was like, no, how can I reach the community and like love and serve the people in the community who are struggling and give them tips that we're learning. And so it was very much an outward focused, I think, process for most of these business owners. They were using what they had to reach our community and to really serve our community. And so I thought that was I thought that was incredible. I think it brought a whole new perspective on even just marketing. Like, how can we really, really just be in the corner of everyone in our community, not just even our clients? How can we serve and love and take care of the people who are struggling in this area right now, whether that's with their business or family or working at home or whatever it is. And so that was really, really neat. And I feel like I've grown just in relationships again with a lot of these people. And so I've had great conversations with some of those people who it was a first conversation. But I've talked with them since then, or I've been able to kind of follow up with them, and like I feel like, oh, well, they're my friend now, or I can work with this person in the future. And so that's been really, really neat.
Yeah. So this was another thing that like doing these live videos, going live on Facebook, recording the Zoom videos, premiering them, that was another thing that Wayne really pushed us to do, even if it was going to be out of our comfort zone. And Wayne, I believe, had the very first few interviews that were posted on the Ugly Myth page. Wayne, what led you to that same kind of question as the phone calls? Like, what led you to want to do these interviews? And how did you go about choosing people for your interviews? Because for some people, it's like, I know so many people, I could interview everyone on my contact list in my phone. How did you strategically choose, and what made you want to do these videos at all?
Yeah, so, over the past several years, we've done live events, we've done in-person events here. And the week after, I don't remember the exact timing, but we'd sold out a social media summit. We had 53 people who'd already purchased tickets. The event was planned, it was on schedule. and we had to cancel that event. And, so what we decided after that was we were going to refund everyone 100% of their money. And then we were going to take that event and do it online for free. So anybody that wanted to participate could participate. And, kind of the thinking behind interviewing other people was simply this: like, we are only good and we're only experts in certain things. And we are fortunate to have a lot of clients and a lot of connections with a lot of wonderful experts, leaders in their fields. And so just based on some of those initial conversations with friends and clients who were struggling, the thought process was simply this: we've got these connections with people who our audience may not have connections with. And those people that we do have connections with, those quote unquote experts, have information that would be very beneficial and very valuable to our audience during these troubling times. So I just think back to, some of the initial interviews that I did, one with Josh Fonger with Work the System. And Josh charges a lot of money to consult with people on putting systems and processes in place. And so the thought process was simply that, like, Josh, would you be willing to come share with our audience right now and give them some free knowledge, free advice on things they can be doing during this time? And the same thing with Josh Monin. So Josh Monin's a copywriter who's written copy for, one of the sharks on Shark Tank, Damon John, and lots of these other people. And so that was the whole thought process behind it, was leverage the connections that we have with people. We're fortunate to have a lot of wonderful connections. Leverage those connections, not for our benefit, but for the benefit of those in our community, those in our audience who we can hopefully serve and help them navigate these difficult and uncertain times.
Yeah, definitely. They've been a big help to me too. One of the interviews that I've done, I feel like the majority of us, it's hard to catch every single video in its entirety, but the majority of us have been tuning in and watching each other's live videos, whether it's live right then and there or watching it sometime on our own personal time. But I feel like it's helped me grow even a great deal too. One of the first interviews that I did was with Eric Hultgren. He is the director of social media and content for MLive Media Group in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I just even loved hearing his different ideas and just being able to kind of brainstorm with him even before and after that call. Hey, what are some things that you're doing for your clients or for people you're seeing people do in your community that's working really well or that's not working really well? Because this is new territory for all of us. We've all had to pivot. Ugly Mug has had to pivot. We've had to help our clients pivot how they serve, reach, and connect with their customers. And so it's just been different all around, but we've definitely all been learning and growing together. And so want to kind of dive into something that's not entirely focused on COVID related, because there are people who work from home on a regular basis out there, believe it or not. And so we're fortunate to have our office here and to all be able to see each other every single day pre-COVID. What have been some things that you all have liked? One thing, maybe one or two. I'm going to go around. I'm going to ask all of you this question. What is one thing that you have liked or enjoyed about working from home? Lydia, we'll start with you.
Okay.
On the spot.
Well, I'm just going to be honest because I'm an honest person. So I'm not one of those people that's like, I'm going to wake up. Wayne is one of these people. I'm not one of those people that's like, let's wake up at 5 a.m., go for a jog, we'll read, we'll do all these things. I've always known I'm not that person, but obviously when you're having to get up for work and drive somewhere, you have to wake up earlier than if you're working at home. So I've not changed my personality. I have set my alarm later than usual, and I don't really feel bad about it. So I usually roll out of bed at 7:45, brush my teeth, do all the stuff in the bathroom, and then jump on my computer and I'm like, hi, Hannah, what are you doing today? So sleeping in, probably, I know that's not really groundbreaking or anything, but it's been really great.
I would actually second that. I have probably the longest commute of anyone in our office. I drive almost an hour to and from work every single day. So being able to actually sleep in a little bit, get a workout in if I wanted to, which Lydia knows most of the time I was just like, no makeup, ratchet hair, backwards hat.
It did happen sometimes though. It counts.
It did. You know, on interview days, that's when I like pulled myself together. So I really do like miss like being in my pajamas all day and getting to sleep in a little bit. So I'll be honest with Lydia on that one too. I'm in the same boat as you. Gina, what's been your number one favorite thing about working from home?
The same things that you just said, basically. Rolling out of bed. I could have a nice shirt on for any of my meetings and have leggings or pajama pants on, and that's the best thing. But also my little puppy is so sweet, and he's crazy and has been a headache to train, and he's not trained yet. But he's started in the last few weeks in the morning before the other little dog is awake. He'll just come and sit next to my feet in the morning when I start working. He has a little blanket and his little squeaky toy. And it's just the cutest because I can start working and he's very calm, like right there at 8 o'clock in the morning. And then he becomes crazy later and has to, go away. But those mornings are super sweet.
Mara, I'm going to ask you next, but I feel like I know what your answer is, but we'll see if I'm right.
You already said it. Working outside pretty much all day has been the number one thing. And if I would choose the second one, this again will not come as a shock, but don't take this the wrong way, not being around people.
Meanwhile, Jessica and I are like, somebody please have a Zoom call. I need human interaction.
Those two were probably my favorite things.
Dan, what about you? Favorite thing about working from home?
Oh, wow. Favorite thing about working from home. Honestly, and this is going to be really sappy, but being able to watch my daughter grow up and bond with her in ways that not being home, I don't think I would be able to. And just experiencing that. Because like with the milestones that have occurred in the last couple of weeks are everything from her first word to crawling to pulling yourself up, all those kind of milestone things that I don't know that I would have been witness to directly. So kind of getting able to bond with her has been the best thing. It's also been the most challenging, as probably everybody on Facebook world could have just witnessed. But it's also probably it's definitely my favorite part about working from home.
What was her first word?
Bada. Yeah, not mom, not dad, bottle.
Sounds kind of closer to dada though.
I think so too. I'm lobbying for that right now. But if she is my child or my wife and I's child, she's gonna like to eat. So I'm not surprised it says bottle first. So it is. We haven't confirmed it, but we're pretty sure it's bottle. She would tell you if she was awake.
Yeah. So Wayne, have you truly worked at home at all, or have you just like been soaking up having the office to yourself?
I have not worked from home at all. I've been in the office every day. And the thing that I've enjoyed the most is, honestly, as bad as it sounds, is like Mara said, having the office to myself. It's just being able to focus. What I found over this course of time is that the things that someone would normally walk in and just ask you a question of, they're having to hold that question, or they're having to figure out how to write an email about that question or make a phone call. And so a lot of those little things just naturally go away. So I've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed that part of it. The other part though, that I would say is, even though the thing that's been the most challenge, I guess, would be lack of accountability. So even though, quote unquote, I don't have anyone that I'm accountable to in like a hierarchy sense, the fact that when everyone is in the office, there's some sense of accountability to the entire team that I need to make sure that I'm leading by example. And so when the entire team is here, it's like this self accountability of, I have to make sure that every minute of my day, I'm being accountable for that minute and productive with that minute. And so that was a bit of a challenge. Just not that I was slacking off and taking naps on the couch while everybody was gone, but it's just that internal accountability for me of knowing that everyone is here and around does definitely help hold me accountable.
Jessica, what about you? Top favorite thing about working from home?
So as I said before, I was in the office in the mornings, making sure to bug Wayne enough for everybody. But then I would come home in the afternoons. So just a sappy mom, being able to have lunch with my kids and talk about how their days were going. Silas is learning how to write. So, yes, I probably would have seen these things when I picked him up from daycare, but like getting to really witness him writing his name and McKenna's beautiful artwork. I mean, that's just gorgeous right there, right?
Oh my gosh, we need to hang that in Tamp and Grind.
Right? Sell it maybe. But then like getting to put them down for a nap. So McKenna's still in that stage of like wanting to be rocked, which she wasn't as an infant, like at all. She was put me down, this is my bed, peace out, good night. So now she's been a lot more like wanting me to hold her. So coming home at lunch and just spending that little bit of time, but then thanking goodness that they are asleep and I can dive back in. So that and just the time I get to spend when my husband comes home, it's not he comes home and I'm running out the door to go do something else. So that's my two things.
Hannah, last one. Make it the best. What has been your favorite thing?
Mine is similar to Gina's, as no surprise to anyone. My little poodle, every morning I had a little stool next to me with her blanket on it, and I'd say, "Come on, Ellie, let's go to work." And she'd come in there and jump on her stool, and she'd just sleep right next to me. And it was nice because being home alone, I mean, I'm an introvert, so it was okay for the most part, but it was nice to have a little bit of company.
Yeah, for sure. So working from home, I'm sure you've heard, if you've watched all of this or tuned in for part of it, working from home has had its ups and its downs. It's had its good times and its bad times. But at the end of the day, I think we are all excited to be coming back to the Ugly Mug marketing office here on DeSoto Street, to be reunited, to be able to bug each other and ask each other questions, but only during distraction time. And to just be starting to get back into, like we've said a million times, whatever this new normal is going to be. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. We've had fun kind of talking to y'all about how we've been navigating COVID-19 and everything that it is going to continue to bring us, and the changes and the ways that we've had to pivot and help our clients pivot. If you are looking for some new resources, if you just want to find someone who's going to agree with you, you might be able to find that on our Facebook page with any of the interviews that we have been doing. There are tons of different people in a lot of different industries talking about a lot of different things, frankly. And if you're a small business, and you need help with your social media marketing, there are 2 different versions of our social media summit that are on our page. I can put the link to those specific posts here in the comments once we wrap up here today. Those are resources for you. They are free. If you have questions, comment on those videos. Just because we're not live right now doesn't mean we're not going to respond. We will respond to you if you have if you're interested in our services, or what that looks like for website marketing, anything social media related, shoot us a message and Dan will get connected with you too. Thank you so much for tuning in. Team, thank you for these last 50-ish minutes or so, just kind of chatting about how life has been changing. I'm truly, truly grateful for each and every single one of you. And I feel like that has definitely shined through. It's something I've learned during this time, is how grateful I am to have a really, really good, solid work family during COVID and non-COVID times. So thank you all so much for tuning in, and hopefully we'll get to see you in person very, very soon. Have a good day.